Okay, I'm an osmologist and I study what makes people awesome, why they forget that they're awesome, and how to get them to remember. And I do this with science. And then I myself forgot that I'm awesome. So this is Mental Fitness Friday. I'm Larry McInnes, and it's true. For the last week or so, I forgot I'm awesome. And apparently, osmologists aren't immune to self-sabotaging thoughts because those bastards are sneaky. Those self-sabotaging thoughts come out in a variety of behaviors, and they are control, hyperachievement, restlessness, perfectionism, people-pleasing, hypervigilant, avoidance, victimization, hyper rationality, and then the ringleader of the bunch, the judge. And this week, one of my top saboteurs, restlessness, was hard at work behind the scenes. And here's how I could tell that my saboteurs are secretly running the show. So I'd been getting distracted with by shiny object syndrome. Way too many shiny objects. In fact, and I've really been getting scattered. I've been spinning too many plates, juggling too many projects, and sometimes even multitasking, which is never a good idea. And even with all the stimulation, I was still getting bored. And when a new shiny thing comes along, I would latch onto that. So this constant plate spinning is unsustainable. Nothing gets done or done well. And this makes me feel pretty unfulfilled. And then there's FOMO. I was feeling like I was missing out on something. And the fact of the matter is, I was missing out on quality time with my partner, Tina. And these negative emotions were taking over everything. And this is how restlessness sabotaged my life and made me forget that I'm awesome. And then to pour salt on the wound, my judge came around to accuse me of allowing myself to be sabotaged. It was like some osmologist you turned out to be. You're ridiculous. So, what can I do about this? Well, I've already started by identifying this particular saboteur, the restlessness, as well as self-judgment. And I called them out. Literally, I said, I see you, you sneaky bastards. Now, one issue that I think people have when they're trying to figure out why they're sabotaging themselves is they try to think it through. They try to solve this problem of self-sabotage like they're trying to solve a problem of balancing their checkbook. And this is what the saboteurs want you to think. So instead, we want to get out of our heads and not deeper into them and get into our bodies. And there's an exercise that'll do just that. So close your eyes and take a deep breath. And take another. And return to your normal breath. And now, keep your eyes closed. Rub two fingertips together with such fine attention that you can feel the ridges of your fingertips. And now with our minds just a little bit calmer, we're gaining access to our inner sage, our inner wise one. And with the sage comes the sage perspective. Every situation or outcome is a gift or opportunity. Now, I considered what the gift or opportunity might come from this awesomeness amnesia. And by consider, I mean from more of a feeling aspect than from a thinking aspect. So, what strengths do I possess that might help me address the situation? And I don't even need to have the answers right now, but I just keep myself open to the possibility that a gift or an opportunity exists, and that possibility is enough. So, as we're in this sage space, uh, let's apply the powers of the sage. They are empathy, curiosity, innovation, navigation, and activation. So, first step to getting myself to remember is I turn to my inner wise one. I use empathy. And just because I'm a osmologist doesn't mean I'm more special than the average bear and I get to have an inner wise one. We all have one, the sage. It just happened that I've learned about my sage and its 5 powers. And by the way, when I say sage, when I use this woo-woo vocabulary like sage and powers, just know that I'm talking about neural networks. So I closed my eyes and I went back in time to visit my child's self. And this kid is my sage. So I sat down with him, got down at the same level, and I told him the most loving and compassionate thing I could think of. It's okay to be restless for a little while. Just don't stay there. And I love you. Now, then we turn to the second power, the power of curiosity. And once I've shifted a bit more out of saboteur mode and a bit more into sage mode, I can explore my personal brand of restlessness. So I assume the role of a fascinated anthropologist. So without any judgment, I'm exploring factors that might contribute to this restlessness. So what was happening inside me? What was happening with other people around me? And what was going on in my circumstances? So once I got a handle on what was causing my restlessness, I started to innovate new ideas, innovation being the third power. There's a rule that I learned while I was taking this improv comedy class called Yes And. It's a rule, it's a way for people to propel their story on stage. And it worked well for one person to come up with a bunch of ideas. So that rule is called Yes And. And here's how that works. You take out a pen and paper and you write an idea on the first line. On the second line, you write, what I love about that idea is yada, yada, yada. And expand on that idea. The third line, you write, what I love about that idea is bippity boppity boop, and expand on that idea. And you repeat this until you can't. Now, when you do this, you don't have you have to turn off your brain a little, but don't put too much thought into it. Allow for some ideas to be stupid, and you can evaluate these ideas later. Now, with these new ideas, I started to figure out what needs to happen. So I settled down, chilled, closed my eyes, and focused on my breath. And with my mind's eye, I time traveled again, and this time to the future to visit my older, wiser self. He's at the end of my life. He's happy and healthy in mind and body. And I asked him, what's the most important thing I need to know about this restless situation? And with the new information that I got, I figured out my action steps. Now, remember that sage perspective when I said that everything is a gift and opportunity? Some people worry that that's a passive attitude that leads to laziness and lack of action. But in reality, the exact opposite is true. The power of activation moves you into pure action, where all your mental and emotional energies are laser focused on action and not distracted by the saboteurs. The course of action I took was to leave my house, clear my head by walking 2 miles through the local park to the library, and write the outline and most of my content for my presentation. And now I know the saboteurs are always out there waiting to ambush me again. Sorry, I keep bumping into that. Now, because those saboteurs are always out there, I set up a contingency plan in case they try to sabotage me again with another round of restlessness, or maybe they'll try a different tactic like perfectionism. I decided that my sage response would be to expect them and laugh at their feeble attempts to derail my action plans. And then I walked the 2 miles back to my home, put the finishing touches up to my presentation. In fact, the very presentation that you're watching right now. And what a great gift that my restless situation got converted into. And this is how I remembered that I'm awesome. And this is how you can remember your own awesomeness as well. So let's recap. Check in with yourself. Are you feeling anything negative? And what are you feeling? Can you open up yourself to the possibility that there's a gift and opportunity here somewhere? Yeah. Oh boy. What's the most loving thing you could say to yourself in this situation? What are the relevant factors in this situation? Without judging anything, what ideas can you come up with to address this? For instance, the yes and exercise. What would your older, wiser self tell you? What specific actions are you willing to commit to? And how will you respond when your saboteurs try to ambush you? Whew. If anything I said struck a chord with you, put it in the chat. If you have a question or something else you want to explore, put that in the chat as well. And if you want to reach out about anything, including a yes and session, DM me. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week at this time for more Mental Fitness Friday.